Bienvenue. Welcome to Coffee Talk with King Francois Premier, where we will discover the tales, trials, and talents of Renaissance Festival performers, merchants, and die-hard attendees as we journey by way of light-hearted and even at times heartwarming conversations about the Renaissance Festival world. I am your host, Theodore Jander, aka King Francois Premier. Bonjour. Welcome to Coffee Talk with King Francois Premier, episode 15. More festivals, festivals, festivals. I am your host, Theodore Jander. In this episode, I will be highlighting more Renaissance festivals here in the US, with at least one stop in Canada, with their names and upcoming April, May, and June dates. But before we do that, here is the response I received from a fellow performer and friend, Brent Jones, where he shares his coffee preferences and a favorite Ren Fair experience story or two. So, grab a cup of your favorite Java, sit back and enjoy this episode of Coffee Talk with King Francois Premier. I sent Brent these 3 questions, and I will provide you the questions, and he will then provide the answers that he sent me. As a coffee drinker, how do you take your coffee, and do you have a favorite roast?
My daily coffee routine is grind up some beans, make a pot of pour-over, and enjoy that with just a little bit of sweetener. And that's really just about it. The beans are typically whatever's least expensive at the grocery store. I make about a pot a day, so I try to keep costs down by just getting whatever's least expensive. Occasionally, I'll treat myself to a bag of beans from a local roaster, so somebody from St. Louis like Caldi's or Goshen or String Bean. And as far as the varieties go, I kind of play it by ear. Whatever's there that looks good, it's a special treat, so I don't really have one that I go back to again and again. I like to try new things. I also may have coffee black if it's someplace that I know roasts their own beans or, put some special effort into it. So for example, I will almost always make a special trip to Caldi's toward the end of the year and get their holiday roast and enjoy that at home toward the end of December. And if I'm going to a coffee shop that roasts their own beans and, takes a bit more care over them, then I'll drink those black because I want to taste what's going on there. I don't consider myself to have a particularly refined palate or be a good coffee taster or anything like that, but drinking it black on those occasions helps me sort of pay more attention to what's there and spend a little more time with it, and just it's a nice memory.
Tell us about your favorite coffee shop. Where is it located, and what makes it your favorite coffee stop? What do you like about it?
Well, when I first thought of what's my favorite coffee shop, my immediate reaction was sort of panic because I don't feel like I have one right now. I moved from St. Louis to the suburbs a couple years ago, and that was sort of during the height of the pandemic. I also have a couple of kids, family, job responsibilities, etc. And so I just haven't really put in the time to find a place that could be a place where I would consider my coffee shop. I also don't have a ton of spare time, so realistically I wouldn't be spending a whole lot of time there, but Also, it would be nice for those times when I do have to go sort of get out of the house and find a spot to settle in for a little while, if I had a place that would be my coffee shop. So maybe I'll figure that out soon. I thought of a coffee shop that I miss dearly, which is Cafe Ventana, which was just off SLU's campus near Grand Center. And this was very close to where I lived when I first moved to St. Louis. So I would often walk to Cafe Ventana or bike over there for some coffee in the evenings or on weekends. And I just loved they had great coffee, they had great food, but also the ambiance. They had fireplaces, they had live music. It was brick and dark wood. It was just a really nice place to spend some time. And toward the end of their time, they also had an annex that they opened, which was sort of meant to be a quiet study area. And it was a really fantastic place to go sit, enjoy some nice coffee, and get some work done. So I miss Cafe Ventana a lot and would love to find another place to call my coffee shop.
I myself have experienced numerous and memorable encounters with patrons, cast, guest performers, and merchants. So, as a performer at a Renaissance festival, what is one of your favorite memories or two you would like to share with my listeners and me?
I perform with the Greenleaf Singers, an a cappella madrigal music group that we perform at around St. Louis and at the St. Louis Renaissance Festival. And I guess one of my favorite memories is from just a few years ago. We were singing and a gentleman came up and was taking some pictures on his cell phone. And this isn't uncommon by any means. We experience this every day that we sing at the fair. Only this person had a flip phone with a tiny camera. And the mental whiplash I got from thinking about the time periods involved in this situation we were in were just sort of amusing. And thinking of, it is the late 2010s and iPhones and other smartphones with really great cameras are ubiquitous. And this phone is from a decade or so ago, and they're using it to take pictures of us, a group who is singing music from the Renaissance, and just sort of all those different time periods being mixed together was just a really fun memory that tickles me every time it pops back into my head. On a more serious note, I think the memory that I really enjoy coming back to is seeing people hear us for the first time. We are sort of a background music type group. We don't tend to perform in places where we'll get 30 or 50 people to sit down for an hour and listen to us sing. It's more people sort of filtering by, and we just provide a nice atmosphere. And a side effect of that is we get people moving toward us from far away, and you can kind of see it when they get to a point where they can hear us. And it's just really fun to watch them, to watch that hit them, to have them recognize, oh, that sound is not coming from speakers. That's coming from those people over there. And it happens at all ages. So you'll see toddlers or babies be absolutely enthralled. They'll turn their heads to watch us as they're being wheeled by their parents who might be oblivious to what's happening. You'll see it from high school students who sort of give a look of recognition and sometimes even sing along or mouth the lyrics because, oh, this is a song we're singing in our madrigal group right now. and from older folks as well who may have heard some of this music before, but to see them realize, oh, that's being performed live. That all of those harmonies are coming from those people's voices, and that's it. And just sort of seeing that happen for people as they get closer to us and get within our range is just a really fun thing that happens. And luckily for us, we get to experience that year after year and make more of those memories every year we're there. So that's a really nice thing. And that's just one thing that always comes back to me when I think of singing at the fair. It's the recognition on people's faces when they first hear us and think, oh, that's something different.
I thank Brent Jones for taking the time to answer these few questions. Now, on to more festivals. As was done in episode 10, I will be including the website addresses and the full run dates for the mentioned festivals in the show notes. Let's begin. First, we head to McDade, Texas for the Sherwood Forest Fair and the era of Robin Hood. I did mention this festival in the previous festivals episode. However, because it runs through April 23rd, I'm sharing it again in the event you have a chance to make it to Sherwood Forest and Nottinghamshire. Remaining in Texas, we saunter over to the city of Kilgore for the Avalon Fair to rub elbows with King Arthur, Lady Guinevere, and the Knights of the Round Table. The Avalon Fair opened April 1st and runs through April 23rd. From Texas, we head to Irwindale, California for the longest running Renaissance Festival in the United States. Having its inaugural season in 1963, the 61st season of the Renaissance Pleasure Fair opens April 8th, tomorrow, and runs each weekend through May 21st. Returning to Texas, specifically Waxahachie, we make our way to the village of Scarborough for the Scarborough Renaissance Festival opening also tomorrow, April 8th, and occurring each weekend through May 29th. Fairburn, Georgia is our next destination for the Georgia Renaissance Festival. From April 15th through June 4th, you can take a step back in time to the village of Newcastle. We head north to Fairfield, Iowa for the inaugural Fairfield Renaissance Fair, which is one weekend only, April 15th and 16th. Also on April 15th and 16th, journeying east, we find the one weekend only Southampton Renaissance Fair in Cortland, Virginia, and the village of Correading. Staying on the East Coast, our travels take us to Kingston, North Carolina for the second annual Eastern North Carolina Renaissance Fair, April 22nd and 23rd. From east to west, we make our way to Idyllwild, California on April 28th and 29th for the Idyllwild Celtic Fair, where you will be transported to the 16th century Scottish Highlands. If you happen to be in Price, Utah that same weekend of April 28th and 29th, you can attend the second annual Price City Renaissance Festival. The Midwest, Kingdom City, Missouri to be exact, is our next stop for the Central Missouri Renaissance Festival, April 29th through May 7th. Here you can enjoy the sights and sounds of the Irish village of 1550 Carlingford. Back to California we go for the Escondido Renaissance Fair, located in Escondido, California, for the same weekends of April 29th through May 7th. For those on the East Coast looking for a one-day option, head to Parkton, Maryland on April 29th for Medieval Day at Royal Rabbit Vineyards. I will say that sounds like a hopping good time. The village of Castleton in 1569 England brings us back to the Midwest for the Oklahoma Renaissance Festival located in Muskogee, Oklahoma, opening April 29th and running through June 4th. We now journey into the month of May for the one day only, and that day being May 6th, Livonia Renaissance Festival located in Livonia, Georgia. Yet again, we pull on our bootstraps, making our way to Pipe Creek, Texas for the Ren Fair of Bandera County, which is also one day only on May 6th. To note, this is the first of a few festivals in this listing to offer free admission. Nice. Keeping the boots on, we travel north to Papillon, Nebraska for the Renaissance Festival of Nebraska, running May 6th through May 14th. Arrington, Tennessee is our next destination for the Tennessee Renaissance Festival, where you can travel back to 1588 England and the village of Covington Glen each weekend from May 6th through May 29th. To Marshall, Michigan we go for the Royal Stagg Renaissance Fair on May 13th and 14th. This is the second listed free admission festival. A little further south in Greenfield, Iowa, we will find the inaugural Travelers Renaissance Village, also taking place May 13th and 14th. That same weekend of May 13th and 14th, you may journey northwest to Kashmir, Washington for the Two Rivers Medieval Fair. A side note, having originally started as the Wenatchee Renaissance Fair in 2008, the name was changed in 2017 to the Two Rivers Medieval Fair. From west to east, we make our way to Fremont, New Hampshire for the New Hampshire Renaissance Fair, taking place on the weekends from May 13th through May 21st. On our way east, we can make a stop at Birdsell Castle for the Southern Indiana Renaissance Fair in Charlestown, Indiana. This festival is also held on the weekends from May 13th through May 21st. Opening May 13th and running through June 11th, we can head to Spotsylvania, Virginia, and the village of Staffordshire for the Virginia Renaissance Fair. Missouri beckons another visit the weekend of May 20th and 21st for the Bluffwoods Renaissance Festival in St. Joseph, Missouri. Staying in the Midwest that same weekend of May 20th and 21st, we could journey to the Janesville Renaissance Fair in Janesville, Wisconsin, or a bit further north for the Niles Renaissance Fair in Niles, Michigan. Up next is our third listed free admission festival, the one weekend only Mayfair on the Green in Holland Patent, New York, May 20th and 21st. Want another opportunity to meet Robin Hood and his merry band in the village of Nottingham? Look no further than Robin Hood's Fair in Harwinton, Connecticut, which opens the weekend of May 20th and occurs each weekend through July 2nd. Back to the Golden State of California, we jet for the one weekend only Shasta Renaissance and Fantasy Fair in Anderson, California, taking place May 27th and 28th. We return to Iowa and the city of Middle Amana for the Iowa Renaissance Festival, which opens May 27th and goes through June 4th. With those same weekend dates of May 27th through June 4th, we can step back in time to 1570 Crossford, England for the New Jersey Renaissance Fair in Southampton, New Jersey. Our final May Fair is the Koroneburg Renaissance Festival in Corona, California, occurring on the weekends from May 27th through June 25th. I will say that this Renaissance Fair is one of a few, if not the only festival set in a 16th century German village. Most Renaissance festivals occur in a village town set in England, or potentially even a fantasy type location. We heat things up to start off June with Fire in the Shire in Alma, Wisconsin on June 3rd. If you happen to be much further north on June 3rd, like, say, Elmira, Ontario, Canada, you can venture back to 12th century Nottingham, England at the Robin in the Hood Medieval Festival. Or travel to Red Lodge, Montana for the Montana Renaissance Festival June 3rd and 4th, where you will be transported back in time to a 16th century European country festival. Here's another option for June 3rd and 4th, the Siouxland Renaissance Festival in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where you can visit the 1575 village of Shrewsbury, England. Up next, we make our way to Lake Orion, Michigan for the Canterbury Village Medieval Fair, which runs June 3rd through June 11th. Another side note particular to this festival, up through 2022, this festival was known as the Michigan Medieval Fair. If you thought the previously mentioned Ren Fair in Ontario, Canada was pretty far north, well, the Three Barons Renaissance Fair, which also runs June 3rd through June 11th, takes us to Anchorage, Alaska. Returning a bit further south to the upper northwest, we head to Canby, Oregon for the Oregon Renaissance Fair, where you can travel back in time to the Vale of Dunrose. This festival opens June 3rd and goes through June 18th. From northwest to east, we journey to the West Virginia Renaissance Festival and the village of Essex, England, in Lewisburg, West Virginia, with weekend options from June 3rd to June 25th. We hop on over to Eminence, Kentucky for the Kentucky Highland Renaissance Festival running June 3rd through July 23rd. Loveland, Colorado is our next destination for the one weekend only Colorado Medieval Festival, June 9th through 11th. The following 5 festivals are one weekend only events taking place June 10th and 11th. First up is the Black Hills Renaissance Festival in Lead, South Dakota. From there, we head to Altamont, New York for the New York Capital District Renaissance Festival. Back to the Midwest we go for the Sandpoint Renaissance Fair in Sandpoint, Idaho, the Silver Sage Renaissance Festival in Garden City, Kansas, and lastly to the village of Hart Grove for the White Hart Renaissance Fair in Hartville, Missouri. Opening June 10th for its second season and running weekends through July 2nd, the Newborn Village Renaissance Festival occurs in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. We journey to another long-standing fair. Located in Larkspur, Colorado, the Colorado Renaissance Festival, which opened its gates in 1976, kicks off its 2023 season on July 17th and goes through August 6th. Traversing to Lacey, Washington, you can enjoy the festivities of All's Fair, open June 24th and 25th. If you live on the East Coast, a June 24th and 25th option for you is the Vermont Renaissance Fair in Stowe, Vermont. 2 other one-weekend festival possibilities for the weekend of June 24th and 25th are the Wheaton Arts Fantasy Fair in Millville, New Jersey, and Ye Merry Greenwood at Glastonbury in Toledo, Oregon. With an originally created fantasy world for their event, the Midsummer Fantasy Renaissance Fair opens June 24th and goes through July 9th and is located in Ansonia, Connecticut. We close out this installment of Coffee Talk with King Francois Premier as we travel back in time to the barony of Thornshire in Rigby, Idaho, for the Thornshire Renaissance Fair, which opens June 30th and runs through July 22nd. In the event I missed a Renaissance festival or two, please reach out to me through my website, which I do provide at the close of the episode, and you can also find that information in the show notes. I do hope you enjoyed this informative episode. To find out more about the festivals mentioned, check out their links in the show notes. Be on the lookout for the next episode to be released on Friday, April 21st, where I bring you my conversation with Maria Romine from Swords and Roses. If you are a performer, merchant, staff, or diehard patron in or of the Renaissance Festival world and would like to be featured on Coffee Talk with King Francois Premier, reach out to me by way of clicking on the following link provided in the show notes: www.theodorejander.com/Coffee Talk Podcast. Would you like to receive early access every other week to each new episode, as well as receive a behind-the-scenes glimpse into the production and creative process for the podcast? If so, join the wonderful community of listeners supporting the show and making new things possible through Patreon. Learn more at www.patreon.com/Coffee Talk with King Francois. The link will be provided in the show notes. Thank you so much for tuning in to Coffee Talk with King Francois Premier. A bientôt. See you soon. Ciao for now and au revoir.